What's up, fourth grade? Miss Lambo here. So excited to be back with you this week. And this week we are learning about plant reproduction. So reproduction meaning to have more, to make more. Very short and simple. There's two different parts. So flowering and non-flowering. We're going to talk about both. We're going to also talk about the weekly lessons ahead of us. And something that I'm going to challenge you to do is to go out and find a plant and take it apart to create your model for Friday. So this is something to look forward to. I will show you an example of it throughout. Tons of resources on study jams, many videos, YouTube videos as well, models of plant reproduction, and so forth. So let's jump into it.
Sam, you ready to plant this garden?
I am so ready.
Good, cause so am I.
Brought a few of my favorites.
Sam, none of those have flowers.
Of course not. They're gymnosperms. They don't need flowers. They make their seeds in cones.
Well, my seeds are angiosperms. Their seeds are made in flowers, and that is a lot more lovely and delicious.
Come on, gymnosperms are cool too. Their cones expose their seeds to the air so the wind can carry them to a place that they can grow.
Angiosperm seeds are inside a flower or a fruit so that they're protected until they can germinate.
Okay, show off. And what does germinate mean?
Germinate. You know, grow. When seeds are planted, the first thing they do is grow roots to hold them in place. Next, they grow a shoot. And that's what we see in the garden when they start to grow. Look!
But seeds will only germinate if they have enough water and if the temperature's right.
Exactly. Now that it's spring, it's warm enough for us to plant these seeds in the garden. A little rain, a little sun, a little love, and voila!
It's amazing that an entire plant fits inside this tiny little guy. And seeds even come packed with a little bit of food. A lot of gymnosperm seeds have little wings that help them fly away on the wind.
Wings! Now that is pretty cool. Seeds have so many different ways of moving around and planting themselves. They can fly on the wind or get carried away by water.
Yeah, even animals like birds or squirrels can carry them from place to place.
See? Who needs gardeners? Seeds can do it all by themselves.
Plants like angiosperms and gymnosperms make seeds so they can reproduce and grow into colorful new flowers and trees that add color to the earth.
Yeah, my angiosperms produce seeds in colorful flowers.
And my gymnosperms produce seeds in cones.
Seeds need the right temperature and enough water to germinate. And our gardening helps make sure that
our garden will be blooming with new plants.
Well, these blooms are doomed if we don't get to work. Let's start digging, Sammy.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so plants with seeds. So now let's take a look at plants without seeds. Give me 1 second here to load this. All right.
Hey, Zoe, where you at?
Hey, RJ. What do you think of my garden?
I think you should hold very still. There was a bee on you.
RJ, bees are just as important as me when it comes to gardening.
They are?
Yeah, I need these little guys to pollinate the flowers to help them make more seeds.
Well, bees may pollinate, but bees also sting. No one needs that.
Exactly how much do you know about flowers?
They smell good.
You know that flowers have both male and female parts, right?
I know they have petals.
Petals are important. The sepals, these little things, hold the petals closed until the flower is ready to bloom. When its petals unfold, the flower is ready to be pollinated.
Okay, so are the petals the female parts?
Nope, the pistil is the female part. It's made up of the stigma, style, and ovary.
Okay, and where are the guy parts?
The male part of the flower is called the stamen. It contains the filament, the anther, and the pollen. Pollination is when a pollen grain from the flower's anther reaches the flower's stigma.
Pretty crazy how bees know the drill when it comes to pollinating.
Bees and insects are huge flower fans. They like flowers for their beautiful colors and their pretty smells. But they can eat the flower's pollen and use the nectar to make honey too. That keeps them moving from flower to flower.
Seems simple enough.
It does, huh? But there's a lot more to it than just moving the pollen from flower to flower. That pollen grain has quite a journey ahead of it.
You mean the flower can't make more seeds yet?
Nope. Pollination is step one. To make more seeds, fertilization has to happen. Fertilization is when a pollen grain travels down the style and combines with an egg cell in the ovary.
Yeah, that does not sound simple.
Let's see if I can get you tuned in. The pollen grain has to travel down to the egg in the ovary. Think of it as a game.
And how about basketball? The pollen is a basketball and the egg is the hoop, the goal.
Yeah, the pollen basketball lands on the stigma and it travels down the style toward the ovary. When pollen combines with the egg cell, fertilization happens and a new seed is made.
Who knew flowers had so much going on?
I did.
Well, let's see how well I kept score. Inside its petals, flowers have male and female parts that work together to make seeds. The male part is the stamen, made up of the filament and the anther. That's where pollen is made. The female part is the pistil. The stigma, style, and ovary are part of the pistil. When pollen is moved from the anther to the stigma, that's called pollination. And when the pollen makes it to the ovary and combines with an egg, that's called fertilization.
And that's how flowers make seeds.
All right, exactly how she said it. And that's how flowers make seeds. So let's go ahead and jump right in here to our PowerPoint. All right, so we're talking about reproduction of a flower. So we're at SC4L16.1. That L stands for life. Okay, so plants have basic needs in order to survive, such as sunlight, water, space, and air, and also minerals and soil. We have definitely learned about this in 3rd grade, so this is just a continuation lesson. So parts of a plant. Plants have specialized parts or structures that help them to perform functions that allow them to live, reproduce, and grow. These structures are their roots, their leaves/needles, their stems, their flowers, their seeds, and their fruit. So this is a good model, a good representation describing parts of a plant, but we're going to dig a little bit deeper. I will take this model, but I want the other model as well. So you can do both. So flower. The flower contains the reproductive parts of the plant. It also produces the seeds. The stem is what holds up the plant and carries the water and nutrients from the roots. The fruit is what contains the seed or the ovary. The leaves contain a substance called chlorophyll. This is what helps the process called photosynthesis. It produces food for the plant. The roots hold the plant into the ground. They also absorb the water and the nutrients from the soil. The seeds are the ovals inside the ovary, and they become seeds after fertilization. Great notes right here for your model to go through and be able to label. All right, guys. Take a deep look at this one. If you need to pause and come back to it, you can. This is what I want you to be drawing. If you find a real flower in your neighborhood, at your house, wherever, you can actually take it apart and label it that way too. So really cool ideas. So the sepals are our leaves essentially. They protect the bud until it opens. The petals are purple in this picture, and they actually attract the insects. Think about if our plants were brown and black. Would many insects want to go to them? Would you buy them for Mother's Day to give to your mom? No. So our plants are beautifully colored so that it attracts pollinators as well as humans. The anthers make the pollen. So the pollen is that little yellow thing on top of the stem. The ovary contains the ovals. So in that center, when fertilized, ovals become seeds. The seeds are found inside of the ovary, which matures to become fruit. So the female parts, the ovary is located at the base of the flower, and the three parts of a flower that make up the female organs are the carpel, the stigma, the style, and the ovary. And all of that is called the carpel. A single carpel is referred to as a pistil. In 4th grade, what I really want you to know is pistil, ovary, stigma, and style. Carpel is actually a 6th grade word, so if you already know it, go with it. The pistil/carpel are the female reproductive parts. Talking about it again, the stigma is the sticky topmost part. You want that stigma to be sticky so that it sticks to the pollen. The style is the slender stalk that supports the stigma. The ovary is the swollen base, and the ovals are found inside of the ovary. So what are the male parts? The male parts are called the stamen. You have the filament, which is the piece that holds up the anther, and then the anther, which is the sac-like piece that contains the pollen. So how does this whole process work? So pollination. Pollination is the act of transferring pollen grains from the male anther of the stamen to the female stigma. So you literally have a pollinator, a bee, a butterfly, an animal, a human, and we touch that anther and we get pollen on our fingers. You can almost think of it as when you're eating Cheetos. You get those orange Cheeto-y fingers. So if we were to touch pollen, our fingers would turn what color? Right, yellow. So that yellow is what's going to transfer onto that stigma. Pollen lands on a female pistil. Sperm cells move down the ovary, fertilizing the egg cells. Fertilization combines the DNA of both plants. The result is a seed with a tiny plant inside. The ovary grows into a fruit to protect the seeds. So here is the basic parts of a plant. So how flowering plants reproduce. So the pollen from the anther goes to the stigma, it falls down the pollen tube and goes into the ovaries. So then the sperm cells actually fertilize the egg, and then the seed forms inside. So what are pollinators, right? Animals, which humans are animals, right? Wind and water can help in the transfer of pollen. We call animals or insects that transfer pollen from plant to plant pollinators. The flower type, shape, color, odor, nectar, and structure vary by the type of pollinator that visits them. So wind pollination. Think about wind. If I have a flower and I blow on it, what's going to happen? Some flowers, such as grasses, do not have brightly colored petals and nectar to attract insects. These flowers are pollinated by the wind. So think about your white flowers that when you blow on them, all those little tiny pieces fly away, right? So they're not brightly colored, so an insect's not going to be attracted to them. So they're going to be pollinated by wind. I'll go over this part. And we've actually already seen that video. It was a study jam. So we're going to continue on. This is a good spot to stop and look at too if you need it for your notes or you need it for your model. This is what I was talking to you guys about. If you want to find a real flower in your neighborhood, in your front yard, somewhere, you can actually observe a flower, take it apart, and label the parts of it. This is so cool. We will definitely be doing this in 5th grade. But if you want to get a head start, go for it. So seeds, seeds, seeds. How do seeds get dispersed from a plant into the ground? So some seeds are hidden in the ground by animals such as squirrels as a winter store. So they hide their seeds into the ground. How do birds and animals help seed dispersal? Dispersal is a big fancy word of saying to give out. If I were to disperse papers, that means I would pass out papers. So seed dispersal is talking about the way that seeds are given out or put out to reproduce. Birds and animals eat the fruits and excrete the seeds away from the parent plant. Some seeds have hooks on them and cling to fur or clothes. Yeah, look at that dog down in the bottom left-hand corner. You know what those are? Yep, sticky burrs. So inside of the sticky burr is actually a seed. And the way that that seed travels is by sticking to things and being moved from one place to another. Pretty smart, right? So animal carried, animal consumed. So if a bird eats a seed, and then what does the bird have to do? Yep, just like humans, have to go to the bathroom. That's what it's talking about. And then lastly, animal excreted. So they move it about. So how are seeds carried away from a plant? Wind-borne, propelled, or water-borne? So talking about being carried by the wind, being propelled, shot out, or being carried by the water. Seed germination. Seed germination is a fancy word for grow. So basically when a seed starts, it starts off as a seed, it grows its roots, it grows its stem, the roots grow downwards because of gravity, the seed grows up to try and reach the sunlight. That's all it's talking about here, guys, is that the seed is going to grow. Once it has its components to grow, it's gonna grow. So here is a radish life cycle. A seed, such as the radish, contains the embryo. Once it is germinated, which means it grows its roots and continues to grow. It gets larger, it gets more roots. When a plant grows to its full size, it reaches maturity. Mature plants make seeds that grow into new plants, and then your reproduction starts all over again. So where are seeds found in flowering and non-flowering plants? In flowering plants, they hold the seed inside of the flower, like we said, inside of that oval, waiting to be planted into the ground once they are fertilized. Non-flowering plants are made in cones instead of the flower. Some of these plants grow spores instead of seeds. Spores are not seeds. So if you go outside right now, you might actually find a fern that has these seeds on the bottom of them. So let's watch the seed dispersal.
Hello, my name is Meredith Cuny, and I'm a student at Cornell University, where I study environmental.
Oops. Guys, I'm sorry. This is not working correct. I'm going to sit here and copy this link, and I will actually post it onto your weekly lessons so that you guys can view it. So let's keep going. All right. So that's it. Like I said, we're going to, this is everything that we learned today, a whole lot, I know. But when you guys take these assignments coming up and you start to do them, it'll be a little bit easier to see and work at your own pace. But a lot of vocabulary goes into this. Your HMH lessons, your drawing of the model to show the anther, the pistil, the stamen, the female and the male parts. We're also going to tie in some extra resources if you need them. Other than that, talking about agenda, we will watch this PowerPoint on Monday, and you guys will have a writing prompt to go along with it. Tuesday, we'll have our meeting. Wednesday, you guys will have your HMH lesson. We'll meet back on Thursday and present your drawings from Tuesday. And then Friday, I just gave you guys a video to watch at your own leisure. So if you guys have any other questions, let me know, let Mr. Pierce know, and we'd be glad to help you. Other than that, I will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.